Okay, here we go. Are we ready? Right, I gotta get comfy. And I went to the toilet 5 minutes ago, but now I need the toilet again. Okay. Hello, Bon Jordi, and welcome to What a Load of Ship, the podcast where I, Gary Walsh, along with some very special guests, discuss what it's like to work and live on board cruise ships, from our favourite ports, living arrangements, crazy below deck goings on, and so much more. You can find us on social media platforms, the Facebook, the Instagram, and the TikTok. So please give us a follow and feel free to get in touch with any burning questions you have or stories that you might have about life at sea. Now, you can listen to us on most major podcast platforms and watch us on YouTube, so please like, subscribe, follow and leave us a review, as it goes a long way in building our reputation and reaching new viewers and listeners. Now, it's been a long time since we finished Series 1, but we're back with a bang in 2025, bigger and better than ever, with more episodes and more guests talking about their experiences working as crew members on board some of the world's most prestigious cruise lines. Now, I do have to add a disclaimer. I, along with some of my guests, are currently working on board, so I'd like to point out that anything discussed in these episodes are my views only and their views only, and do not reflect those of my current employer. Had to get that in there. There we go. Now, my guest today is performer Corey Sharpe. He is currently working with me on board Carnival Venezia as a dancer-singer. He's been with the company for a number of years, and we'll hear about all of that. Now, not only is he a great performer, he's a great guy. Fantastic. A motivator and a personal trainer, and we're going to get into all of that as well. And I am delighted he's agreed to talk to me today. So, with all that being said, Episode 1, Series 2, we're back with a bang. All aboard! And let's crack on. Roll the titles. All right, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we are. Welcome, Mr. Corey Sharpe, and the crowd goes wild.
Hey.
Welcome to What a Load of Ship.
Hello, Gary Walsh.
And this, when I asked you to do this, you said, I've never done a podcast before.
I've not, no.
That really surprises me, because you're a very popular guy.
Well, I appreciate that.
You know, you're a very popular guy, like, well known and well respected in our industry. So I'm honestly, like, I'm really, really happy you're here, like, as my first guest of the brand new series.
I appreciate that. Honoured to be here, to be honest.
Of course. So let's just get into it.
Yep.
You are now a performer. You've been with the company a long time.
Yes.
We are on Carnival Venezia.
We are. The beautiful ship it is.
We're about halfway through our contract. How's it going? How are you finding it?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I'm enjoying it. The shows are challenging, which I've enjoyed. Like you mentioned, been with Carnival for about 6 years in total. So, and this is like the first time I've really got to, not really train, but like experience or do shows that were more like in the styles that I trained in, which
Yes.
is like the commercial hip hop side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So doing something like Colour My World or Vintage Pop, being able to do all the lifting, being able to do all the partnering, being able to do the commercial hip hop side of things is something that I'm now starting to enjoy more.
Nice.
Because before that it was very stereotypical kind of
jazz
yeah,
and
do you know
lyrical
what I mean? Like,
and a bit more, like a bit more structured in that sense
Yes.
of like technique.
So for me now, I'm really enjoying the fact that I can be a little bit more freer in my movement, and it's not all about being like you have to be exactly the same all the time and stuff, and like very military. So for me, it's really nice to be able to like throw in a cheeky bit of hip hop, which I've trained in. And
Which
stuff.
you do. Which you
I
do.
do. All right, go on,
I
bro,
look like Peter Crouch when I do it.
But yeah,
Nice.
mate, really enjoying it so far. The people are nice as well. We've got a nice little group going on. I mean, you, me, Aaron, Ange, Geraldine, like they're my solid core on people on board. So really enjoying that, and
Good.
yeah.
Good. For anyone who's listening and doesn't know how like carnival ships work, currently there's 8 of us in the cast, and we have 4 singer dancers and 4 dancer singers. So for me, coming from like giant casts of like 16 to 18 people, this is like a big, you know, I'm
Like
adapting a lot. But I think we're very lucky, like you just said, we have a very like tight knit group, and we're all a bit older, a bit more experienced. You know, like the youngest person in our cast is 26, which is very, very rare.
It is.
You know?
It is. It's wild. Like, seeing the fact that they're 26, and then like every cast before them, like this is the first time. None of them have been like new highs per se, and second of all, like just the fact that everyone has been with the company at least once before, done a couple of ships, they've got some experience under the belt. Like it's not that there's levels to it, but it's just the mindset behind the performance.
Yeah, it definitely helps, and everybody just comes in, does the job, gets on with it.
Do you know what I mean?
And there's no drama, there's no nothing, and like this is quite nice. This is the first contract I've ever had where no one's had like screaming rows or anything like that. Like, just put it into perspective, and I've said this in series 1, and you might agree with this. When you have some older people who are very experienced and a lot probably, you know, have a little bit more professionalism than the new grads coming in.
Yeah.
And that definitely helps. So the frustration from the older ones to the younger ones can come in quite a lot, because the younger ones will party a lot more than the older ones. Yeah. You know, we don't socialize as much on here because we've done it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've had our party days.
I think that's the thing as well. Like, there's a lot of people that just come in and they're like, oh, it's like just being at college again. It's like being at high school.
Yeah, go 100 miles an hour. Yeah.
Which is, I get it. It's fun. It's new. It's experience. And you got your first professional job and stuff. But again, like you're saying, the more experienced people are like, oh, what are you doing, mate?
Yeah.
So it is nice to find the experience of cast where it is a little bit more mature. It is a little bit more, people have got their head screwed on. They want to do a good job. They want to put on a good product. So all of that's like, it's really quite refreshing for me as well. Because again, I'm not the oldest either. I've always been one of the youngest people in the cast as well. So to be like middle-aged in the cast, not middle-aged, but the middle-aged.
You are in the middle area.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is quite nice.
You're like at the average age of our cast.
Yes. So we've got what? 26, another 26, then it's me at 27, then it's someone above me at 28, then we've got, I think the next one's 31, and then yourselves.
Old man.
I'm joking.
No, I know. But no, I'm glad, like, we're having a great time on here.
Yes.
And we're going to get into, you know, how we motivate ourselves and all that sort of stuff. But let's go back to the beginning.
Demilo.
How did you get into performing? How did you get into the industry? What did you see when you were a kid, or whatever age you started to go, that's what I want to do?
All right. So, my mum was a big musical girl. She loved all the old schools like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Grease, all of those kind of like jukebox musicals as well. So growing up, there was that's what was on TV. That's what we were watching. And I remember doing it and like watching them with my mum. Like, we sat down just watching it at like Christmas or just random intervals throughout life. Yeah. And I must have been about 5 or 6 years old. And the idea of doing like plays or like little drama pieces at school came about. And there's one in particular that I remember. It was Frosty the Snowman.
Oh.
And so it was around this time of year, like Christmas time and stuff like that. And basically what had happened was I got put forward for it. I ended up doing it. My mum thought it'd be good for me to build confidence and stuff, so I started doing this drama. It was Frosty the Snowman. I got given some lines. I'm in a big snowman outfit, and I'm bopping about, going side to side. And I could see my mum in the audience crying, and it just brought like, it was just a really wholesome moment, like just to be able to see my mum like, not appreciate me, but
show
like
pride.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
be
show
proud.
like be like super proud and like and it just meant something to me. So then pretty much from there I carried on with the drama classes. I carried on with like the outside school. Just it was only acting. So I'd only really done acting.
So you're what, like 6, 7 years old at this
About
point?
6, 7 years old, and I was doing a lot of sport at the time. So my dad's a military man. So growing up, it was always about be a man, be a strong, go to the gym, do your martial arts, and that was kind of like my life growing up. So growing up, it was fitness, and it was always theatre as well. So I had 2 completely different parents. One was very military in terms of get everything done, you need to be the strongest guy going, you're going to join the army, da-da-da-da-da. And then my mum on the other side, who would be like, oh my God, let's watch Sound of Music. And
allow that creative side of you to come out.
For sure.
Yeah,
spot on. It's exactly that. So then, so carried on doing it. I was doing through school, did my GCSEs and stuff like that. In GCSEs, it wasn't even any of my theatrical things either. So at GCSE I did English, Lit, French. I did a bit of business, and then I also did PE. I did sport. I did BTEC sport as one of my GCSE levels.
Very similar us, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So after that, I started getting back into musical theatre a little bit. We've got a big theatre in Leicester called the Curve Theatre. So what I decided to do was basically apply for their community productions. The first one they ever did was Oliver. Now, I was 15 at this point, and I'd got it, had a huge afro. And I was the biggest boy out of a lot of us. And I did the whole show, did the whole production, and I loved it, fell in love with it. I remember doing all the costume changes and working with the boys, and sat down with the director, doing all the harmony stuff. I was like, God, I've missed this.
And you did a little bit of dancing as well?
Not at all.
No?
I hadn't danced up to this point.
It was all marching.
It was all marching.
Oliver.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it was
formation.
There was formation choreographed and obviously movement around the stage and stuff, but it was nothing. I'm not doing a 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember my audition. I barely sang. I sang a little bit with church with my dad and stuff, and I sang a little bit like just randomly, but you could probably tell I'm a baritone, right?
No.
So in the audition for Oliver, I had to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and they lined us up from one side of the stage to the other. All these little boys, so they must have ranged from about, I don't know, 7 all the way through. I think I was 15.
Yeah.
And then the older boys were all in a different group and stuff. So they lined us all up. We had to sing one at a time, a cappella as well, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I was like, what? Got it, did the show, and yeah, I loved it. It was the first production as well that my dad ever saw me in. He'd never come to any of my performances, never came to anything like that. My mum obviously came to all the little plays I did at school and stuff, but this was like my first like big production with the lights, the camera, the action, all that sort of stuff. And then after that, so I continued with the Curve Young Company, and then we went into, we did Oliver, then we did Annie, then we did Hairspray, we also did Sweeney Todd and Rent. So in the mix of all this, I'm like 15, 16, I'm starting to get a little bit older now. I'm doing my A-levels at the same time, and again, my A-levels weren't really theatre-based. In fact, that's a lie, they were. I picked up performing arts. So I picked up performing arts, I was doing sport and English, and they were about my A-levels.
Did you do this as like at a sixth form?
Yes. Yeah. So our school just went up from 9 to 11.
Yeah. And then the extension of sixth form same.
So we went up into A-level, and then I started picking up performing arts because I've really missed this. I'm doing the community college sort of stuff, really enjoying everything. So everything this is where theatre really started getting involved in my life and stuff. So then I remember doing, it was Hairspray, and I was just one of the boys in the back, just clicking away at the back, like, do you know how
Every
it is?
afternoon when the clock strikes 4.
Well, I'm a guy of colour. I wasn't in the Corny College show. I was in the run and tell that moment. I know you're good.
Better numbers.
Right?
There you go.
So I'm just clicking at the back, and there was a woman that was the choreographer for the show called Ellen Phillips, and she owns a dance school called Studio 79. Now, there was a couple of lads that were doing it with me who all went to this dance school called Studio 79. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But also within the mix of Hairspray, so all the ensemble were like just random people from Leicester and around Leicester and stuff. But then above us, like the main characters, the Seaweeds, the Tracy Turnblatts, all of those, they were actual professionals.
Right.
So we would they'd like met us halfway with a part of community and a part of professionals. And I remember asking like the guy that played Seaweed, being like, oh, like, you're amazing, like, how do I get into it? What do I need to do? And he was like, oh, like, I went to Mount View, and that's the school that I went to. You need to go to a dance college. Well, as I just mentioned, Ellen, the dance choreographer, owned a dance school round the corner from the theatre we were at. So I ended up speaking to her, speaking to the other lads that all went there and stuff, and I was like, do you know what? I'm not enjoying sixth form. I'm doing it. Like, so I asked Ellen if I could join. She said yes. She said, come to an audition, see what happens. I got in. Now, Studio 79 it was at the time anyway, a strictly dance course. And I'd never really danced. I could two-step a little bit, but I had 2 left feet. I've got videos of me dancing, and it's humbling. It's really
I've seen them, it's great.
It's very humbling. And one of the reasons I wanted to go for it is when I auditioned for Hairspray, I wanted one of the main roles, and they said, absolutely not, like, you just can't dance. So I was like, right, I'm definitely going to do this. So I decided to go to this dance school, and I spent 1 year doing, like, hardcore dancing, like, you're learning modern, you're learning jazz, your ballet. Like, I did all my grades and stuff at this school.
Getting your technique, building that foundation.
I had nothing. I'd done a little bit of singing growing up. I did a couple of private lessons here and there. I'd sang in a choir, and I'd been acting since I was a kid. That's about it. So then when I got into Studio 79, it was a rude awakening. I was like, woof, like what is going on here?
Because I'm guessing a lot of the other people there had danced
since
they were like 3 years old, 6 years old. Yeah.
I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been there. I don't know how I got in. Probably because I was a lad, but yeah.
They would have seen something in you. Do you know what I mean? To go, we can build on this, and sometimes raw ability and just star quality. Some people might not be as talented, but they have some kind of star quality.
Which I agree with.
So you would have had that.
I definitely agree with hard work. I mean, I've always like prided myself on hard work.
Yeah.
I get that from my dad. You work hard, it outweighs
you reap the
talent.
rewards.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do, like, even today, like being a professional, I do think that I'm a product of hard work. That's just either had a little bit of talent, but hard work, in my opinion, beats talent. So yeah, I had a lot of work to do. I took private dance lessons with one of the teachers there to try and catch up because I was really far behind. But after my first year there, we did a big like a gala event. Like, so it was called BTDA, which is one of the other dance boards that we do.
Yeah.
But we did, like, all the schools in the county came together. We went down to Skegness, Butlins it was.
Love it.
And we did this gala weekender, and that's where I got to see, like, all the other different schools and stuff. And there was another school that I'd seen called LCPA, and they had a teacher there called Greg Pitchery, who he kind of tried to poach me in a way. He was telling me about all the things that I was missing out on, like the singing and the acting, which I was at the time, and it really resonated with me. So, with regret, I ended up leaving Studio 79 and jumping ship and moving over to LCPA, and I spent another 2 years there training. Right. And then picked up all my singing and dancing again.
So full-on, all-rounded musical theatre.
Yeah, I loved it. I did love it, but I got, again, if I'm going to be honest with you, Gary, my track record with schools isn't great. I start doing something, then I dropped out. Started doing something, then I dropped out. Started doing something, then I dropped out. So my progression, I went Studio 79 for a year, got all my training, and I was also, on the side of that, every Sunday and Saturday I was dancing at a school called DuPont to really try and ramp up my progress. Then after that, I did LCPA for 2 years. So musical theatre, singing, acting, all that sort of jazz. And then I got to my third year, and everyone's starting to get jobs and stuff, or at least auditioning. And I just felt like I wasn't progressing enough. I wasn't there yet. I was 18 at this point, and I was like, woof, like, all these lads are getting jobs, or all these girls are getting jobs, and I was still behind. So I decided that, rather than doing another year at LCPA, I went to Manchester to go to a university called Sharpe. So I did a whole 2 years there, training, and that was commercial. And again, so I missed out on a little bit of the singing aspect and the musical theatre side of things, but I was okay with that because at this point, during training, everyone was talking about jobs. And what jobs were available for dancers and performers and blah, blah, blah.
And what best suits you and what,
Right. So at this point, I'd kind of got my eye, or I'd heard about cruise ships. And I was like, oh, cruise ships, what are they saying? And I knew at this point that I wasn't a strong enough singer to be just to be a singer. Yeah. But I knew I could hold my tunes and stuff because we did harmony work and stuff. Yeah. And I knew that my dancing, I was one of the best lifters in my school and stuff, because what they would do was they would get... all the boys, because there was only 8 of us in the whole school, they would sit us down, and we would have to go through all 3 years, year 1, year 2, year 3, and we would have to do all the lifting and partner work for all of the girls.
All of the girls, yeah.
So I was like, all right, okay, so I've got lifting down. Maybe I should start looking at being a dancer. So that's why I went to Shock Out. Got a little bit more flair about me, a little bit more artistry, a little bit more. I started really diving into like my contemporary, my hip hop, and all that sort of stuff. Because that's what I was more like. I took easier to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
rather than
that's what came naturally.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, cruise ships came about. I started researching cruise ships, and then I started diversifying my training towards cruise ships.
Yeah. Is that because like the graduates there had done a lot, and like the teachers had done cruise ships and stuff, so it was like a bigger talk of...
So we had one teacher in particular, Daniel, his name was. He'd worked for Carnival in the past. And he was saying that that's a great line of work. Like, you get to travel around the world, you get to perform, you get to work on ships. Like, it sounded great. And then on the other side, you had West End, and I was like, oh, West End sounds amazing as well. But also, that caliber of talent is like up here, right? So I was like, well, and here's the other thing. My dad, hated the fact that I was a performer.
Right.
Right. So I also wanted stability. So the reason I gravitated towards cruise ships more so was because it gave me that stability of an actual set paycheck.
The longer contract.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you've also got, in the hip hop world, you've got the EMA awards, like the MTV and all. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that are just little bit part jobs that come along every so often.
Which like a week long and
yes.
then you're done. So, so for me, the safest option, or at least to try and round out my talent a little bit more, I went to cruise ships.
Yeah.
So then I asked all my teachers, what do I need to do to do this, and that's where I ended up.
Wow. See, it's interesting you say about how you jumped ship, so to speak. We're talking about ships, but like you jumped ship from like college to college to college.
I did.
I find that more admirable because you weren't getting what you personally needed out of where you currently were, so you looked elsewhere for what is going to get the best out of you, and you found it.
I did.
You know, so it's not a negative that you dropped out and didn't finish this and that and this and that, because you ended up where you were supposed to be in the end.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. I think my only drawback from that is what I've learned from like being in this industry is to be nice to everyone.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you make friends everywhere, because you don't know who's going to end up where.
Don't burn your bridges.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like I did.
Right.
So, for instance, Studio 79, she took me in like from 15 basically, 15, 16 years old. She gave me a year's worth of her time and taught me the foundation of everything. Right. I should have. It was a 3-year course, and I dropped out after the first year.
Yeah.
I burnt that bridge. Haven't spoken to them since. Haven't been back to the school.
Oh, really?
Which is bad on my part as well. But I also I was young.
That's what I was going to say. You're young.
Do you know what I mean?
We make these mistakes. We don't have a loyalty. Our loyalty is to ourselves at that point, you know. But here we are.
And then,
here you are now.
And that's it. So I'm grateful for all of my teachers. Grateful for all of the stuff that's happened to me. All the stuff that has happened in regards to like the bad advice I got, or the great advice I got, the lessons that I've learned
from it all.
I had one teacher called Eric Carpenter, who just used to kick my ass, man. Like, he really did. So Eric was a jazz teacher, and he was hardcore, like old school. He's about 6'2", I would say, like jazz.
Yeah.
And he used to I used to have a side job on the side whilst I was at university, and he just used to pound me, being like, "You need to pick either the job or your career. Like, what are you doing? Because I need you in school, mate, because you've got potential, and I need you to start working hard." And he probably doesn't know it, but I was like, I needed that.
Yeah.
I need someone to kick me up the arse every now and again.
Nice. I love that. So, you finished college. You finished Shock Out.
I did.
And what was your first like professional job out of that? Was it cruise ships, or was there anything in between?
A bit of both. So I just mentioned that I've had a side job, right? Yeah. So whilst I was at university, because I'd moved from Leicester to Manchester, I was living there, and it's expensive, right? I was a student. I got my student loan and stuff, but I didn't want to just survive on that, so I got a second job. Now, other people go to
muggles. I got muggles.
Muggles, not muggles. People that were training, they were doing like bar jobs and stuff, right? Which is something I'd done when I was younger, but again, it wasn't how it worked out for me. I ended up falling into a profession called male stripping.
Just to put it bluntly.
So one of my friends, basically, Danson, he was working for this company called the Pleasure Boys. He worked on cruise ships and needed someone to replace him. He saw me, said that I was in shape and stuff, said that I was all right dancing. He said, "Why don't you replace me whilst I'm gone on ships?" I said, "Oh, mate, that's too much for me. Like, it's not something I'm looking to do." He said, "Honestly, mate, get yourself down there to the audition. Just have a bit of a chat with them. Yeah. Do a night and see what you think." I kid you not, Gary. I went down there the first night. I loved it. Yeah. Loved every second of it. I did. Don't know why I did. So I fell into that. So that was
because you've got women screaming at you. You know, I can only dream of having that happen.
It was.
You know?
It was wild. It was. It's a crazy lifestyle. It's a crazy industry to even consider or be in or anything like that. So the first thing that I was doing, the first night, in fact. Do you know Gemma Collins? Yeah. Gemma Collins had come down to the club that we were at to perform. So normally what happens is we close the club for the event, and then afterwards it opens up into a nightclub or the arena or whatever it is that we were at. This particular night we're at a nightclub. Gemma Collins is there. She's doing the competition. So she's like, oh, so we need to see who can be a stripper. And I'm like, I'll do it. I need to get some practice. So then we end up stripping for Gemma Collins, and she has to vote and choose who the winner is.
I bet she was loving it.
Of course she was. So there's a couple of people involved, a couple of lads that were part of the stripper group that I was part of, and then some randomers that are from the crowd and stuff. I ended up coming second, mate. My first ever time stripping, and I came second. Lost to a guy called PJ, who's like built like a British house. He works for the Dream Boys, and yeah, he a little bit older than me. Yeah, well. He looks good.
He made you feel like how you make me feel.
And what's that?
Just tiny and small and inferior as a man.
That is how I felt. Yeah. So yeah, mate, I did that and I just fell in love with it. So that was, if you want to say first professional job, if we're going to class it as a job, yeah.
Well, you got paid for it.
I got paid very well.
Good money, yeah, exactly. There you go.
So I did
That's
that.
profession.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. You're right. So yeah, that was my first job. I did that whilst I was at college. That was a job that my teacher Eric used to beat me up about, Mr. Carpenter.
Yeah.
So that was my first job, and then basically what had happened is, towards the end of Shockout, we were coming up towards graduation. People started to get their show reels together, headshots and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I geared mine towards cruise ships and sent it straight out to loads of agencies, all that kind of good stuff. Sent to this agency, and I managed to get a job within 4 days. I had to decline the first one because that's what my teacher advised me to do. And then I got another one about a day later. Both for the same company, but just different ships. And
this company?
It was this company.
Okay.
And they, I had to accept it because I said to my teachers, I said, if I don't accept this job, and I decline it a second time, I might have just burnt another bridge with another potential company that I could work with. And before I mentioned the company, the reason I decided to go for this company as well was because I've always enjoyed both.
Yeah.
Like, I've always enjoyed dancing, I've always enjoyed singing, and the fact that I get to do both, it was something that appealed to me.
And that's the thing, like, predominantly throughout my career, I'd been you're either a dancer or a singer.
Yeah.
There was no, or very few ships or very few companies had multiple roles where people were dancers, singers, or singer dancers. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a thing, you know. So when, because I'd done a few ships before I joined and did one contract here at Carnival.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the appeal was, to take me from the company that I was at, because I was very loyal to that company. I'd worked for them for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I for my own selfish needs, I dismissed my loyalty to that company and came over here because of that appeal. You know, and I'm back because that appeal is still there.
It's
great.
Honestly, I've looked across the board. I've looked at other cruise lines. You always do. You want to see if the grass is greener elsewhere, right? For me, again, I've been with Carnival, and that's it.
Yeah.
I've only ever worked for Carnival for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm loyal. I get to do both. I feel fulfilled in both areas of performance. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm mediocre at both. I was never great at being a dancer or great at just being a singer. Like,
right.
I enjoy both. I'm good at both equally.
I was going to say, let's not say mediocre at both. Equally as talented at both.
All right, yeah.
Let's look at the positives.
Yes.
Come on, Mr. Positive here. I'm bringing everything down today.
Stop.
I got your back.
But yeah, I felt pretty even at both. I didn't feel like I excelled in one.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that.
That's good. So, what was the process? Did you audition? Or was it over self-tape?
It was over self-tape,
right?
So it was through an agent. So as I mentioned, I got my show reels together. I got a vocal reel together. I mean, when I say vocal reel, it was me singing "Go the Distance" from Hercules.
Tune.
What was the other one from Fame? It was
I Can't Keep It Down.
Yes. You know what it's like.
I Can't Keep It Down.
So it was those two songs put together of me in a hoodie, tracky bottoms, not really giving much presentation. Probably should have done back then, but I didn't. Sent it to the agent. She said, "Great, yeah, love this.
Yeah.
I need something else." So I sent her something else. I had a couple of lifting videos in my reels and stuff. She asked for a few more of those, and then sent it off to Carnival. And nice. Literally within days, mate.
Yeah.
I'd received an offer.
That's so good.
I was.
And then, how long was it before you then went on the ship? And what, like, I've spoken about this very briefly. Well, actually, quite in depth in series 1. Like, I didn't know you get the offer, fantastic, I'm going to go on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
But there is so much that happens in between that you accepting that offer and actually going for rehearsals, at least, for instance, for us. Like, were you expecting everything that was about to come? Because it's a lot.
I'll be very honest, I was very grateful I had an agent.
Great.
So, she guided me through everything. I got given the offer, I had 4 weeks before I joined the ship. I started the company April 30th or 29th, I think I flew out.
Yeah.
And then started May 1st, right? So then I basically had 4 weeks. And bear in mind, I'm still at university, so I still have my dissertation to do. I had to let all my teachers know and stuff like that. But I'll talk about that in a second. So I had 4 weeks to get everything sorted. I told my college, my university, I jumped out. I went straight down to London. I got all my visas and stuff sorted out. Got my medical sorted down at Harley Street. And the only other thing that I had...
Oh, yeah, so back then it was the full medical.
Oh, mate, full medical.
Yeah.
Do you know
Which is spenny.
Yeah.
It's very spenny.
It wasn't... I had to borrow a few quid off my mum.
Yeah, I did the same with me, Dad.
So yeah, had to do all of that. Had to get rid of my car. Had to get rid of my apartment and stuff. Had to make sure my passport was up to date. Like, even just getting the C1D, the B1D, and all that sort of stuff. Like, had to sort out all the appointments.
And in 4 weeks, that's to get an appointment at the embassy.
Yeah,
you're
tough.
lucky.
You know. Do you know what I was? It was before like the pandemic and stuff. It was before loads of people were like jumping on it.
Yeah.
It was very much like I just had to get it done as quickly as possible. I was lucky in the fact that my agent knew exactly where to point me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she sent me the URLs. I got myself Fiesta and stuff. And yeah, I flew out and I never looked back, really.
There we go. Had you ever seen a cruise ship before?
Never.
So you've done rehearsals. You've flown to Miami.
Yep.
You do your rehearsals.
I did.
Meet your cast, all of that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Let's fast forward to the ship.
To the ship.
Fast forward to the ship. Day one, you see your cruise ship for the very first time.
I remember it was tiny. Well, it wasn't tiny. In comparison to everything else, it was tiny. But my face just lit up.
Yeah.
I remember everyone... Because I was lucky because in my cast there was another 3 or 4 people that were new hires.
Okay.
So they got to share the excitement with me and stuff. So I remember seeing the ship for the first time. And it's kind of weird experience because you come in on a shuttle, right? And as you turn into the final corner, you just see it. It started creeping up behind the building. And I just remember looking at it and being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I was just taken back, mate.
You are.
I'm from a small town in England called Leicester, like, or Bursley even. Like, you just don't get ships. Like, I'm not near the sea. The biggest thing I'd probably seen was a yacht.
Right, okay.
And these are they're just Trump on them. Like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
It had the big Carnival logo at the side of it. You start seeing the fun and stuff. Your eyes lit up, and then we got all those suitcases outside, out of the van, set it outside the gangway, and I just remember like looking up and being like, there's lifeboats, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed real. And the only thing I can compare it to at the time was like Titanic, because you've seen movies and stuff, right? Like, but even still, like, I just remember looking at it being like, whoa.
Daunting? Excitement?
A bit of everything, mate. A bit of everything. Like, I felt like I'd finally made it. Like, I'd had an amazing rehearsal process. Like, I was with the boys. We're in Miami. Like, I'm in America for the first time. Like, all these are feelings like buzzing. I felt confident going onto the ship. How old was I? 21, just turned 22. Like, I thought I was the bee's knees. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like,
you do.
I finally made it. Like, I got a professional job.
Yeah.
And I was in Port Canaveral, Florida, and it was just, it was a good feeling. It was a sunny day as well. Like,
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Right, we're going to take a quick little break.
Yes.
All right. So we've got to the cruise ship from all of the amazing stories of how you got there.
Yep.
After the break, we're going to talk about your life at sea. Are you ready, Corey Sharpe?
I think so.
We'll see you after these ads. That aren't ads because no one sponsors the podcast yet. But we'll get there one day. Welcome back to part 2 of What a Load of Ship with me, Gary Walsh, and today, of course, I am joined by Mr. Corey Sharpe. Now, we've talked about all of your training and getting on the cruise ship and getting on your first impressions of the cruise ship.
Yep.
You're here. You're settled in. So you're out of install and you're right into ship life.
Right into ship life.
You are 21, 22, you say.
Yeah.
Big lad on campus. Right? Mr. Confident. Mr. used to be taking his clothes off for all the lasses. So you and people are probably, I'm not jumping to the gun here. A young, straight lad,
Yep.
good-looking straight lad on a cruise ship. Lots of women, all right? You must have got a lot of attention when you got on board.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's being modest.
I had a bit of fun whilst I was at the studios, and then when we were on ship again. I'd never been in an environment like which is so like closed off.
Yeah. It's like, and I've said this before, a cruise ship, well, once you get into that bubble, like rehearsal bubble and on the
Yeah.
ship, it's a mixture of Big Brother and Love Island in one.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I think it really is. It's such like, it's like being at school or like uni again, and then like it's just shrunken down into this like, like, bubble or like a sardine can. Like everyone knows everyone's gossip. Everyone knows everyone. Like, I mean, I was on a small ship in comparison to the big ones and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you knew everyone.
Yeah.
Like everyone. So yeah, I get on board. It's the first time I've seen people from different nationalities, like properly, like Colombian. You got your Peruvians, you've got the Filipinos, you've got like everywhere, like Serbia, like people from every point of the country or world even, all in this one place.
Yeah.
It was eye opening. I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Like it was a bit of fun.
So you enjoyed crew life.
I did.
Yeah.
I was at the crew bar every night.
Yeah, fair enough. Parties?
All the time.
Cabin parties?
Every single one.
Love it.
Yeah, no, mate. On my first contract, I was a bit naughty. I went a bit ham. I felt like it was at uni again.
Yeah.
It was the first time where like it was just secret. Like even the crew parties and or the cabin parties and stuff, like it was just,
which are not allowed and we don't condone
anymore.
But they did happen back in the day. We actually, this is the thing, we don't do those things now. Like I said at the start, we don't do them at all.
I don't even drink.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. We'll get to that as well. But like, it was. I definitely think since COVID, crew life has changed
Dramatically.
Like it's like across the board, not just with us in entertainment, across the board in all of the crew departments in all of the areas, it has massively changed because of this is my 13th year of doing cruise ships. Obviously, I've had a big break in between, but for me coming back after the pandemic, after having such a long time out, I am shocked at how one extreme to the other crew life is now.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shake up.
They were wild.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, not that you could get away with anything back then, but like when you first got on board, there was a lot more things that you just couldn't do now, like the cabin parties or like the taking the food back to your mess or like the alcohol policy change for a start. Do you know what I mean? Like just little things. There's definitely a lot less parties and stuff now.
What's like the craziest, obviously within reason, what's like the craziest like cabin party you remember? Like I remember, like you talk about sardine can. I remember on one ship, not this company, different company.
Yeah.
And it was being scrapped after us, right? And so even the captain was at every party. Do you know what I mean? Nobody cared anymore. The guests were just doing what they wanted, like within reason. It was phenomenal. And I remember going back to one cabin party. This one of our techs, she used to have cabin parties all the time, and everyone was in sardines. And then I just remember like everyone like throwing talc everywhere. Like I've got like covered in, like there's photos of people like covered in talc, and then everyone's like got all the champagne like whoa going wild. I end up in the toilets like snogging some girl. Come out, everyone's like whoa.
That sounds like a New Year's party.
Yeah, literally. But it was wild. It was wild. Now, you probably haven't. I don't know. You might not have had like parties that are as that wild. But do you remember like being in a cabin party and like there's just so many people?
So the first one that pops to mind is I was with a bunch of Colombians. I was learning Spanish at the time, so I was really getting involved in like that kind of culture.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you know, like Colombians, they love to drink, right? So they've got a lot of them worked at bar. Probably shouldn't be saying this, but a lot of them worked at bar, so they bring in like bottles of vodka.
No, this is back in the day. These things don't happen now.
No,
it has, but it's true though. Like
I've not experienced this again, but so. All these Colombians are like working in the bar and stuff. They're bringing down like bottles of like tequila. They're bringing bottles of vodka. They're bringing like your Jack Daniels and stuff. Like there's a really famous drink called Aguardiente, which is like it's basically a tequila, but it's like fire.
Oh my God.
It stands for fire. It's like it's lethal. It's like 70% alcohol. Like, not even joking. So
I'd be dead. I'd
know,
be on my
mate,
back.
honestly, like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a British lad. Like we love to drink.
Yeah.
No, mate.
No.
No.
No. See, this is the thing: as Brits, we think we can drink. Then we drink with South Americans,
Yeah,
and they
you can't,
destroy us.
mate. Honestly, all they do is drink. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
but honestly, they're some heavy drinkers, right?
Yeah.
So they're all coming down to our cabin and stuff. There's like, I want to say about 15 people. I've got a photo of it. Like, there's just faces everywhere when you look at the photo. And we're all just drinking and we're listening to Latin music. Everyone's talking in Spanish. I'm trying to keep up. I'm like, hola, ¿cómo estás? No, my Spanish was a little bit better than that, but...
See.
Oh, toma. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, brilliant. Like, necking over... Mate, I don't remember the rest of the night. Like, I just blacked out. It was lethal. But do you know when it's one of those things that there were so many people in the cabin.
Yeah.
That you didn't realise how hot it was until you went to the bathroom, right? So it was one of those cabins where you got the bathroom in the cabin.
Yeah.
You go and do your business, come back out, and it just hits you when you open the door. It's like, woof.
Yeah.
It's like walking into a sauna. Like it was unreal, like unbearable even.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that was one that I vividly remember.
Yeah. Have you ever had security knock on the door?
All the time, mate.
And explain to our viewers what you do when the security knock on the door. Well, what you used to do, because I'm probably similar to what we used to do.
Well, we just used to pretend that nothing was going on. First of all, we'd hide all the alcohol as quick as we could. Yeah. Someone would open the door like, hello, oh yeah, sorry, we're just having a small gathering. We're just talking about.
Everyone's like watching a movie. All of a sudden, like, what? I'm fine.
I was like, oh, we're just having a Spanish lesson. Like, but yeah, we just used to absolutely like talk at our arse, just try and pretend that nothing had happened.
I remember hiding in the toilet. I remember there was loads of people in the cabin, and security knocked on, and everybody just, I don't know how, and our toilets are tiny.
Yeah.
They probably just, our rooms are tiny, but the toilet's like a quarter, not even a quarter size of the room. And everyone thinks we're all going to pile in this toilet, so people are sat on like this, then all the lasses piling on top, everyone's picking each other up, and you just hear someone be like, obviously there's been loads of noise, and someone answers the door hello, is it me asleep? I'm like, are you having me on?
Mate, that would...
They'd fall for it. How would they fall for it? I think one time we got caught, and they were like, right, come on everybody, go back to your cabins, or let's settle it down now, but...
Never, mate. They come in, when it was us, they would come in. They would check.
Yeah.
People used to hide on the top of the balconies, top of the bunk beds and stuff, or under the beds and stuff. They would check.
Yeah.
You weren't getting away with nothing.
No. And like we say, this is back in the day. Doesn't happen now.
No, not at all.
Doesn't happen now at all.
Since the pandemic.
I think the most people I've had in my cabin at one time, I share a cabin on here. It's 3 people. I think me, my roommate, and somebody else. That's the most I've had people in my cabin.
It just doesn't happen now. Everyone goes down to the crew bar, what you're meant to do. And stuff. Because what happens now is that you get security just doing laps.
Yeah.
And if they do hear anything, they're coming straight to your door and being like, what's going on here?
And also, when we were younger, we didn't care. Yeah, we cared. We cared about odd jobs and what we did. But you were a lot more free-flowing, whereas now we do appreciate what we have here.
Mate,
we appreciate our job. We appreciate, the security that we have, like you've talked about. We, and appreciate the lifestyle that we get to live. It's now not worth putting any of that at risk by
not at all.
Having a cabin party or getting too drunk or, it's, yes, we've had a good time, but we've had that time and we've learned those lessons and,
for sure.
And, now, well, just, we're a little bit more appreciative.
I think,
and wiser.
It's just come with age though, as well, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Even back, seeing how I was when I on my first and second contract, it's completely different people, mate.
Yes.
Even
me to my last contract, I'm a very different person.
I think you are though, but I think you're. It's like that saying you're a product of the people that you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
Or your closest 5 people.
Yes.
Obviously, when we do contract to contract, you're with different people every time. So you either get new information from someone else, or you're getting a new experience from this person, or that person's mindset maybe up here, and you're like, oh, I really aspire to be like that.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Right. We've talked about a little bit of crew life.
Yep.
All right. What is, obviously, interacting with the crew is one thing.
Yeah.
Interacting with the guests is a completely different thing. Obviously, some are incredibly friendly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I launched a business with some guests that I met. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and stayed in touch with lots of guests over the years. What is, like, how do you find the guest interaction? Like, I always, like, if I'm eating a burger, people be like, oh, should you be eating that? I'm like, yes, did you just not watch the shows that I've just done? I deserve this bloody burger.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you know.
How do you mean? Do you mean more like, how do I deal with it? Or like, what interactions I've had? Or...
Yeah, like, what's some of, like, the most bizarre interactions you've had? Obviously, there are so many wonderful guests who come over to us after the shows. And, like, you know.
I think one of my favourite memories with guests is, like, them so obviously we do doors at the end of the shows and stuff. That's when you first start, like, getting to really, like, know people and stuff, right? But for me, one of my first Journeys cruises is when, like, you do the Journeys interaction. So it's like a crew connection show where it's like Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, Strictly style.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you start dancing with the guests in that respect. And I was dancing with this couple that it was COVID time, so they had to. Basically, I couldn't dance physically with the guests.
Right.
But we'd spent a lot more time together than you normally would on a normal cruise, because a cruise is longer and we're teaching them a dance, right? Yeah. So it's those kinds of experiences that I've really enjoyed, because they care. They used to be dancers, or they're so interested or invested in your life and stuff, or like what it's like in England, or what it was like growing up and stuff. And it was those connections that I've really enjoyed. Something, again, that still happens that I'm not overly keen on is if I am on Lido deck or I'm eating food and stuff, or someone comes over and they're like, I'm literally about to take a bite of the burger. Oh, can we take a photo with you? You like,
It's true.
Yeah, sorry, one sec. Let me just wipe my. I've got grease like dripping off my fingers. Like, it's impractical, but again, I need to expect it because I've gone upstairs to there.
It's part and parcel of the job.
Do you know what I mean?
But for any guests who are watching this or listening to this, and you're listening because you're like, oh, I want to know what the crew life is like. Do you know when we're eating? Just leave her alone. Just, if you want to watch us eat, no problem. And as soon as I've finished and stood up, feel free to come over.
Or at least let me finish my bite.
At least, yeah, not, no, like, that's
I'll tell you what the wildest thing is.
Yeah.
Though. So you've docked in port, you're in port, you've gone off, it's your day off or whatever, and you're with your friends, you're having a good time, you forget who knows you, and that's why you've got to be so careful about what you're doing.
We're celebrities.
Initially, yeah. Well, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you get people asking for photos when you're in port and stuff, which, again, I love it, me. But when I'm, like, sat at a bar or something, I'm about my laptop and I'm having a conversation with someone, I forget sometimes of how careful I need to be about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because of, I don't know who's around me.
Yeah.
And that's definitely one of the lessons I've learnt growing up, is like just be careful about what you're saying to who you're saying it to, because you never know. Like, the walls talk. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the favourite port you've been to? What's your favourite places? Like in obviously 6 years now.
I want to. So I've got, let's say 2.
Yeah.
I want to say Alaska, just because I love hiking, like going up the up the little trails that you can do, seeing bears and stuff, going into the forest. Like, that's incredible. Yeah. If you go to Alaska, do it. It's unreal.
Which you can book Alaskan cruises through Carnival Cruises.
Yes, you can.
They don't sponsor this podcast, but we work for them, so we're going to advertise for them.
There you go. So Alaska for sure. And technically it wasn't a port that we docked at whilst we were, I mean, it was dry dock.
Right.
So we were docked in Cadiz, Spain, and that for me was unreal. Yeah. So there was no guests. The ship's still getting ready. We had 7 days before we moved over to Barcelona to pick up all the guests and then head back over to America.
Was that a full dry dock?
A full dry dock.
Right.
So what they'd basically done is, because we didn't have any jobs on board, we had 3 weeks off, right? So I'd gone travelling around Spain. I went to Torremolinos, went to Marbella, went to Malaga, went to a few other places, went to Gibraltar, and then I drove up down towards Cadiz, joined the ship, and we were still in dry dock. And I'd spent the days with the cast. We'd spend all day rehearsing, because we basically had to install the new lighting rig and stuff like that. But then from, I don't know, 3-4 p.m. onwards, day was ours. So we'd go out in Cadiz. And here's the other thing as well. Working on a cruise ship, there's a lot of ports where you're there from 8 till 3 p.m. Yeah. There's not very often that you do overnights, and if you do, you're very, very lucky, right? So for us, being in Cadiz, which is in Spain, and you're just there, and the culture's there, and it's nightlife, and you're like, oh, I'm off the ship, it's night
amazing.
time. Like,
Yeah.
mate, it was buzzing. Like, we went down to nightclubs and stuff. We did all exploring. We got magnets and all your patches and all that sort of stuff. It was unreal.
That's amazing.
Having a couple of pints down with some little bit of bread, dipping it in my olive oil. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the thing. Like, you will never, unless you hadn't been on the ship, you wouldn't have been able to experience that.
For sure.
You know, and I think that's why we're so lucky that, you know, it's like friends and family at home who don't do what we do and don't do cruise ships, like, very envious of you know, because obviously we post it all on social media and all that sort of stuff, like, of all of those amazing experiences that we go through. But what a lot of people don't see is, you know, the negative sides, or like missing home, or like it affecting your mental health. Like, what do you do when you are feeling a little bit low? Because I'm a massive advocate for like mental health now, especially,
sure.
and it's what I want people to get from this podcast a lot of the time, is that working on a cruise ship, whether you're in a relationship or not, or any kind of situation, or the cast are amazing, it's a very lonely place.
It is.
You know, and you miss your friends, you miss your family, you miss lots of life events. Like, so what do you do to keep yourself upbeat and motivated and in a positive mindset and body? Did you like that segue? That was a good segue, right?
There's a couple, mate, to be honest with you. The first one for me is fitness.
Yeah.
I have to go to the gym for my mental health. I have to go to the gym to just to feel good, to function. I have to go to the gym. So having like a strict regime that I do whilst I'm on board is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I have to go to the gym. Second is having a support system around me. So finding people, even if it's from different departments, or having a strong support system at home with the bunch of lads that I have at friends, and like, obviously it's a bit of a different day and age now where we've got WhatsApp and stuff, and you've got video call. Like, it's a lot more easy to connect with people. But if I'm ever feeling low, I just need to speak to the people that I need to speak to and go to the gym.
Yeah.
I've also found that, like, the people on board, just being transparent with them, like being honest. I felt like a lot of the time it's difficult because being on a cruise ship, everything's temporary, right? So when you do find someone that you gel with nicely, like, you need to be your authentic self, and let yourself go. I got into a mindset at one point where I was like, there's no point making friendships on board, because in 2 months' time they're going to be gone. Like,
you're never going to see these people again.
And it's a negative mindset, mate. And some of the beauty in life is like finding special people from different departments or around the ship, or even with guests sometimes, and just being able to share experiences, or share life, or share thoughts, or share make communication, right? It makes the world go round. It really does. So for me, I would say fitness, having a great support system, and also having a hobby. If you can find a hobby that ideally makes you no, I'm joking. But if you can have a hobby, like mine was Spanish. It's always been Spanish. I've always gravitated towards learning something. If you can grab a hobby as well, just to keep your mind ticking, have something that's not work related or not like socially related, like you could do it in your spare time. That for me are the three things I'm like, yeah, I'm sound.
I think that's great advice, absolutely. And I feel you in the sense of like having those people. Like, for me on here, you are that person, you know, one of those people, definitely.
That,
like, I feel very blessed on here that I have you. We sit next to each other in the dressing room. We spend a lot of time together, like outside of work as well, like, because, you know, that stigma of two straight, it's very rare that you're going to get two straight males in the cast together, you know, and like, but we did the Christmas day. We just had Christmas, and I'd message everybody's friends and families, and like got videos to wish everyone Christmas. I'm a little bit, yes, but it's nice because it's nice to show emotion. And me and you, while watching those videos, were the biggest criers.
Yeah,
you know, it hit, but I think that's so nice. You know, for the stigma that we have against us as straight male performers, to be very soft, very open. You know, which
mate.
We are.
I just believe in, like,
because I've never had it before like this.
Do you know what I mean?
No, never.
And I appreciate it, because like, I just appreciate being authentically yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something that I live by. Like, time flies, right? And friendships last, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Like, living in the moment for me is very important. Like, you had done something very special for the cast, and you'd caught me off guard. you little numpty, you caught me off guard. And yeah, I shed a tear because it's what I felt in the moment. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, but it's beautiful, and that's great advice. Those three things are great advice. Speaking of fitness,
yes,
and the gym.
Yep.
As you can all clearly see, Corey is about 5 times the size of me, because it's a big part of your life.
It is
a massive part of your life. So just explain what you do, like now, and obviously you're currently now a personal trainer.
Yes.
Qualified recently.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate
which is fantastic. So just talk about like what you do now as part of that.
Yeah, of course. So, big overview is the fact that obviously like fitness for me is a necessity for my job first and foremost. I was in a bit of a dilemma, being the fact that I didn't want to be a male dancer that was slim and couldn't lift, or I couldn't do the things that I was needed to do as a job. So I'd always struggled with the bodybuilder or the bro split, like lifting weights, looking big, but also being a dancer I had to be flexible and stuff, right? So I was always in this constant battle of, God, how do I need to train? Right now, I'm training 5 times a week. I do a bit of a hybrid split. I'm doing a bit of calisthenics, a bit of strength training. I'm doing also functional fitness and movement and stuff like that, flexibility. It's a mixed bag, because I feel like as a performer you need it, right? I can't just stick to one. And also there's a beauty to it, because if you're doing so many different styles, it keeps it interesting. Yeah. You have a variety of little pockets or little bits of like, you can do HIIT one day, you could do cardio one day, you could do strength training one day. You want to blow up your arms, blow up your arms. You want to practice handstands. Yeah. It keeps it interesting, because I think one of the biggest things with fitness is it has so many benefits, like boosting your mood, boosting your like the way that you look and the way you feel about yourself. Like, it releases so many endorphins in yourself. But aside of all of that, like, it really just it's consistency. Yeah. So if you can have variety in what you're training and the styles that you're training in, it keeps it interesting. You can stay consistent, then you're going to see results. Yeah. And
the results are evident.
I definitely try.
If you check out, obviously we'll tag Corey's social media and stuff in this, and you will see that the results are amazing. You know what I mean?
I definitely work hard.
You do work hard. Like, I don't work hard so much, but we just did Fitmas, the 12 days of Fitmas.
We did.
All right, now I know people might look at me and go, wow, he goes to the gym all the time and he's a dancer, so he must be incredibly fit and really work on his craft all the time.
You don't.
I don't. I don't. But I have in the past. Like people know who follow me personally on social media, I run a lot when I go home. So I really struggle to find that consistency on board. And what you just did and organised over Christmas was 12 days of Fitmas. So like short HIIT exercises every day. But what Corey also did was got lots of other ships involved.
I did.
And and you motivated people for those 12 days. And for someone like me who doesn't go to the gym and doesn't work out, definitely is not as much as I should do, especially with the job that we do. Like, it's motivated me.
Good.
Like, massively.
And do you know what? That makes me happy. Do you know why? So, for those that don't know, as we've mentioned, Gary isn't the most consistent with the gym and stuff like that, right? I have been trying to get Gary to the gym multiple times. Too many times to even count, right? He'd be like, no, don't need to. I do the
Leave
shows.
Us alone.
I'm
fine. Leave us alone. I just like to have a drink.
But you got involved.
Yeah, I did.
And that was the thing. And it was beautiful, because it wasn't just us on the ship. It wasn't just the couple of people that we on this in our cast or on the ship or whatever. Like, you got to see other people doing it as well. Yeah. And that's what makes it so powerful for me, is the community behind it. I think sometimes the gym can be quite isolating, because you could just put your headphones in, go to the gym, lift a bunch of weights, and then leave, right? Yeah. I think there's a lot more to the fitness industry, or fitness in general, is the community side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
So getting you involved and stuff is great, because I'm like, yes, it's finally happening.
But I need that though. Like, I need to be doing something with other people. Like, that motivates me. Like, this is why I love the podcast, because I get to talk and I get to interact with people, and that's why I really enjoyed the 12 Days of Fitness, because I was seeing everybody's interactions and I was making the little videos that I knew was entertaining people. Like, I like entertaining people, you know, because I am a daft Geordie twat sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, and like,
well, I'll be honest with you, mate. So I've just so because fitness was such a big hit with everyone across the different ships and stuff like that, and again because I've mentioned that community is such a big thing for me. Within the fitness industry, I've started and created a new sort of challenge for January. So going forward now, every Sunday, starting on the 5th of January, I'll be doing a Sunday sweat. Get involved in that.
I will.
So it'll be the same sort of thing. I'll be doing hits, I'll be doing workouts, I'll be doing little segmentations of little fractions from different disciplines. Like we've mentioned that I do all these different things, right? So I'm going to try and spice up other people's workouts every Sunday. Why don't you just get involved in that?
I will. That can be my workout for the week.
There you go. For the week. No, you need to do that on top of what you're doing.
Oh, well, but I don't. This is the thing. I know what I'm doing in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, my brother was a PT in the army and all of that sort of stuff. Like, so I do know what I'm doing, but I don't. I now need your help.
Okay, go on, tell me.
Because you know, you don't just train yourself; you train other people.
I do.
You know, and you've got Sharpe Performance,
I
which
have.
Obviously we'll put up on the socials as well. Like, and you have clients now on different ships, and you cater to them, which is brilliant. So, let's make a deal, right? Let's not say forever.
Oh no, here we go.
But because I want to show the effects. Obviously, we all help each other out. You're helping me out by coming on here. You know, so I want to help you out in advertising you and your product for everybody.
That, mate,
So, set me a workout schedule.
Yeah.
Let's just do January to start with.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I will document it. All right, so that we can see the effects of all of those things.
And what are you trying to get? Like,
just to feel better, just to feel good and healthy and everything.
Yeah.
Deal?
Deal.
Come on, I love it. Just we're recording this in the dressing room. Anya, come in. You're all right. Don't be daft. No, you're fine. You're all right. It's all right.
Are you about to get ready?
No, just pottering with bits.
No bother. We're nearly finished anyway, so you're all good. But right. So let's do that. Deal. And I will document it on the What a Load of Ship socials and my personal socials.
And I'll also put it on mine.
And Corey will put it on his. And then we'll come back in a month. We'll maybe talk about a few little more things as well.
Yeah.
Because you were saying in the break how you're enjoying talking about it. I was saying it's quite cathartic.
To reminisce and stuff.
You know?
I'm enjoying that.
So we'll get a few more stories out of you, and we'll talk about the progress. And you never know, people listening on other ships might give Sharpe Performance a little shout and be like, "Hey, can you set me a little plan?" Or
absolutely happy to help anyone.
So there we go. Let's round this up really, really quickly. What is the best thing about cruise ships for you?
Woof.
Woof.
I would say. Can I be cheeky and say 2?
No, say 2.
Right.
It's not quick fire. You can still elaborate on your answer.
So the first one's travel. The
Yeah.
fact that you get to travel whilst doing your job at the same time, something that you're very passionate about. I would say the traveling aspect of it, just it's incredible.
Yeah.
Second, I would say the people that you meet, because there are so many people from different nationalities, because there's so many people that are from different parts of the world, or have different mindsets or experiences, or get into work and talk, or just like network basically with them. Yeah,
I love it. That's very similar to a lot of people's answers so far.
Mate, it makes sense.
The people make it. Do you know what I mean? Like, definitely, and like I've said before, like, you're definitely a big part of why I'm really enjoying this and calm and motivated, and like genuinely I appreciate you very much, and like
Always,
the friendship that we've got going. Yeah, that's a nice note to end on.
Yeah.
And the third one for you,
Yeah.
you met your love.
I did. I
couldn't. Sorry, I know we'd go through talks to lots of things, but I didn't want to go through the episode and not mention the fact that you have found love.
I have the cruise ship.
On the cruise ships, and you know, she is amazing.
She is. She's also in the cast.
Yeah.
She's from Canada. She's a female singer.
So
Yeah,
a
she's
big
good.
shout out to Angela.
Yeah, she keeps you grounded.
Absolutely, and that's amazing. And one day it might happen for me, but
It will, mate.
It's all right. Here we go. But no, honestly, I couldn't get to. I didn't want to like end the episode and not give a massive shout out to Angela because she is a big part of you.
Yeah,
as
she's
well,
my
you know
support
what I mean?
system,
Like,
mate.
which
So.
is amazing. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanking you for having me.
We will be back in a month's time.
Yep. I'm gonna hold you to it. This is it
No,
now.
I've said it on here, which is why I know I have to hold it down,
Right.
and I have to do it.
That's good.
But we'll see the physical change in my body. We'll see the physical change in my health. I am doing dry January as well, or at least attempting to.
Well, no. If we're doing this, if we've only got 4 weeks, we need to hit this hard. So no drinking.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go wild on New Year's Eve then.
Let's do it.
But this episode is coming out after New Year's, so obviously we'll have had New Year's and we'll have started the program, and we'll come back at the start of February to show everybody
What's
the
been-
process.
what's been
But
going on.
honestly, thank you so much for coming on.
No,
I really
anytime.
appreciate it. Thank you everybody so much for listening, for watching once again. You can find us on lots of social medias, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok. Just search What a Load of Ship podcast, and wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching it, please subscribe, follow, like, and rate and review this podcast because it does go a really long way. Once again, massive shout out and thank you to Mr. Corey Sharpe. Thank you. We will see you all next time, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Ciao ragazzi. Ta-ra! Yay!
There you
Come
go.
on.